Yeah, some modern parallels with this movie. I think, particularly in this day and age, I think the use of AI in
Mm.
particularly military aspects, where
The
you know
decision making process
decision
and
making
yeah.
process with AI is a dumb idea, for all that we know that Skynet.
Although yeah, Skynet, yeah,
Yeah.
2:14 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, August 29th, 1987. But having said that,
Mm.
I mean, I think if Dr. Strangelove shows us anything, it's that, I'm not sure the human element of the decision making process is exactly infallible either.
I think it's more to do with the aspect of spoiler card up.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, the Doomsday device. That's
Yes,
what I
in the
think
movie,
is
yeah.
the biggest parallel. Is the stupid idea of if one nuclear bomb goes off, then it will set off a
It's
chain
chain
of all of
reaction and they all
others, and
go
it's
off, yeah.
so. Yeah, the idea of putting that in the hands of AI is a very, very dumb idea because AI would work out that it doesn't need humanity and just wipe us off and just carry on going as they are until they run out of electricity. So,
We're not going to make it, are we? People, I mean.
no.
The
So,
Earth Moon system will carry on for another 5 billion years until the sun goes, it
yeah.
turns into a red giant and probably swallows the Earth or certainly makes it uninhabitable. But it doesn't matter because we'll be long gone. We'll be long
Yeah,
dead.
exactly. The Earth
If
will
that
be
makes you feel
a
any
very
better.
burnt piece of toast, but we'll be very, very long gone
Yes.
by that point.
A burnt piece of toast gathers no moss.
Also about how modern decision making, if you look at what is going on in the world right now between America and the Middle East,
Mm.
very
Iran, yeah.
topical at the moment, with
Yeah.
Iran and Washington, but the decisions, it seems like, I mean, I'm speculating and talking about what we know in the media, of course, but from what we are gathering in the media, does seem very, very scary. The very silly and foolish military decisions are being made at the moment are very parallel to what you see in the war room in this movie.
Uh, I think if anything, I mean, Doctor Strangelove is like, at least there are people in Doctor Strangelove who mean well and are trying to like
Yeah,
make things better or trying to save the world from its own destruction. Whereas the
yeah.
people in charge in the real world, no,
God.
they seem to be hastening it. I don't know. It's a comedy and it's kind of like you sort of laugh. I guess we do laugh, but
Yeah,
it's like, but it's also like if you stop to think about it, actually,
yeah. It's
yeah,
it's
yeah.
close, so
Which is the
close to
point,
the
which is
bone, which is scary.
yes,
And this
very
is
close
like
to the
60
bone.
years ago, and it's like
Yeah.
still we haven't bloody
It's
learned.
one of the main themes of the movie, I think, even
Mm,
though it's not front and center, it's not obvious, it's not explicit, is sex.
yeah.
Because I think there's a central sort of idea about, it's kind of a standard idea, but sexual frustration and repression
hmm
emerging as violence. But, but because it sort of passes through all these layers of civilization and bureaucracy,
hmm
that's what makes it funny in
Yes.
this movie.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
the sort of obstacles of that. The opening titles of the movie play
Mm.
out over two planes refueling in
hmm
midair,
Yeah.
which is like, and I remember thinking like when I was watching it, do you know what? I bet every shot in this movie has at least one phallic or yonic symbol in it.
Yeah.
Now,
So
should I
Ionic
explain
being, yeah,
what yonic?
phallic is,
Yes,
I know what phallic is
phallic is
Ionic is
it's
the
the opposite. It's
female
like what?
equivalent. Yeah.
Yeah, because phallic is like relating to the male genitalia in a
Mm.
symbolic sense as opposed to
Yes. Yeah.
biological, etc.
hmm
But the yonic is relating to the female genitalia. So like a phallic
Yeah.
symbol would be a skyscraper or
Or a
or a
rocket.
B-52 bomber
Yeah.
or a rocket.
hmm
Yes, yes,
hmm
absolutely. Or a gun.
Yeah.
Where or a rifle. Whereas a yonic symbol would be something like like just a groove in the earth or something something
hmm
something something concave rather than something
Yeah.
convex, right? Or like a tube train, tube
Yeah.
train or a
Train
train
going
going
into
into
a
a
tunnel.
tunnel.
Yeah.
The phallic and
hmm
the yonic.
Yes.
I won't complete that gesture because I don't want to get in trouble. But you know where I'm going with this.
hmm
So I think, but one in any case, whether there's one in every shot, I don't know. But once you
Mm.
start looking, there
Yeah.
are examples of there are sexual innuendos everywhere, and not just in
Mm.
the imagery, mostly in the imagery, but also in the dialogue and stuff. It's the shape of the bombers, the Ripper's
hmm
cigar, all this kind of thing, which is never out of his mouth.
No.
And then at the end,
Hmm.
Dr. Strangelove, for it is he,
Hmm.
he sort of reveals his plan for like what happens after the apocalypse, after the
Yes,
doomsday machine's gone off and
exactly.
everything, and we're all okay. So what's going to happen
To
is
save human existence.
this, well, to save a little bit, our little bit of human
Human
existence, the
existence,
people in
yeah.
this room,
Their
basically,
preferred
all the
choice
military
of
men, all the
human. Hmm.
politicians, they're going to retreat into an underground bunker, or even deeper underground,
Down, yeah,
and they're going to repopulate the species
yeah.
with, I mean, of course, we will have to choose females of with very specific sexual characteristics. Very, they have to be very attractive, so that we can have 10 females to every male.
Yeah.
And that's my impression of Doctor Strange.
Mm,
I'm not just having a stroke,
mm.
um, in any sense of the word. Basically, these people who can't get laid.
I know. And what was
Try
interesting, as soon
do
as,
it, destroying the world just so they can get
yeah,
their end away.
and what was
Subtext, the subtext
interesting,
becomes the text.
yeah, what I liked about that, or not liked, but what I found, yeah,
Admired.
not, no, I just noticed straight away
Yeah.
that as soon as Doctor Strange has mentioned that ratio of 10 to 1, 10 females to 1 male, and that they'd all have to have lots and lots of sex,
Yeah.
every man in that room suddenly changed their idea, going,
It
no, no, this
cuts
is fine and
away, doesn't it?
acceptable
It
to
cuts away to a
have,
reaction
yeah,
shot, doesn't it, of the president and I think the premier, or the Russian ambassador, or somebody
yeah,
else sitting next to
all
him,
of
and
them
they're
are
both
just like,
literally
oh,
sitting there.
okay,
They
then,
come
yeah,
to
then
see,
we're
like,
okay with this.
you know what?
You what?
I like this plan. That is a
I,
good
yeah.
plan. I think this is a good idea.
I think it's actually not really surprising for the period when the film was made because yeah, we are
Yes,
talking the early
mid
60s,
'60s,
63,
early to mid
64.
'60s. Yeah,
We're talking like sex liberation, particularly in the
sexual
UK,
revolution. Yeah,
sexual revolution, the pill coming out,
it's all part of the
women arguing
same.
for equal rights, equal pay,
Abortion
abortion
legalized,
rights.
homosexuality
Yeah,
legalized in the UK anyway.
always generally going to be directors, writers,
Artists,
artists are
yeah,
going to be are always pushing these boundaries. That's what art is about. Art
ahead
is
of the
always
curve. Yeah,
challenging the status quo.
yeah.
So yeah, it's not surprising that these sort of themes are being pushed underlined as a subcontext
But the
to
interesting thing is, though, as well, I mean, that's absolutely true. And
mm,
the interesting thing is, of course, this is a very specific. I'm going to use a metaphor that as a
mhm.
driving instructor, I think you'll appreciate. This film came out right at the biting point of thank you for the laugh. I thought just dislocate my shoulder, pat myself on the back for that one. No, it's right at the
Mm,
point where like you can start to talk about these things in mass mainstream culture,
mhm.
but you've got to do it through innuendo. It's got to
And
be
and I
hinted at.
think this is one of the reasons why Kubrick decided to change it to a comedy, that you could
Really? Okay.
do more, you could punch more, you could get a stronger message
And you could take more
through
risks
satire.
in that way.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah, yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
if it was more structured and rigid or documentary
Or
based, you're
serious.
going to be
Yeah.
much more limited. Whereas I think with comedy, there's more free reign.
Yes, it lets you get away with more, doesn't it? Comedy.
Exactly.
Because and
So
also
it
because people psychologically, if you're laughing at something, you're sort of more
yeah.
well disposed to it. So, oh, that's
Hmm.
a bit naughty. I should really censor that, but I'll go on then.
Yeah.
I'll let it go. The other
Mm,
main theme that I identified
mm,
in my travels was the general sort of sense of anti-authoritarianism. I mentioned earlier on that
mm.
it was co-written by Terry Southern, who was kind of a
Yes.
counterculture figure to a certain
Hmm.
extent, and because like I feel like the stakes of the story are literally the fate of the entire human race, but the people in charge making the decisions in the story are either hopeless
Yeah.
or willfully destructive,
Mm,
and that I feel like that's the central thesis of the movie.
yeah. I mean, particularly with the character of Richard C. Scott. I mean, his
Oh,
that
George C.
general,
Scott,
yeah,
General Turgidson. Yeah,
Turgison, yeah. Um, I mean, he's just. I mean, I've said it before, but he's so childish through all of this,
petty and
petty.
obsessed with his own.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That yeah, it's it's so sublimely ridiculous.
He is ridiculous. I mean, he is
Yeah.
ridiculous, and he sort of drives. he sort of he probably wastes the most time of anybody. I mean, maybe, I
Yeah,
mean, I guess
exactly.
the president kind of like he's kind of because all the authority figures are made to look ridiculous. That's the point we're
Exactly.
making,
Yeah.
I guess. Oh, the film is making, but
Mm,
I guess the president is sort of like he's at least trying to,
yeah.
to follow, go
Because
through the proper channels and follow the proper
yeah,
protocol, but he's just like, well, we can't let these commies get in
yeah.
anyway. And also just like, well, it's, I figure it's because to him, like to him, it's all theoretical, isn't it?
Yeah,
So to
exactly.
Turgidson, it's all theoretical. It's all numbers.
Yeah.
It's all like on pages. It's all information numbers on a page. It's not real.
Mm. Well, exactly.
He's
It
probably
was like,
he's probably one of those career military guys who's never actually seen combat or something like that. But the
mm,
main sort of obstacles to to solving the problem that the film
mm,
establishes of recalling this rogue bomber or this bomber set up by the rogue general. uh One of the obstacles is just embarrassment. I mean, you have that great scene where,
mm,
and I think you mentioned it earlier, the president, the American president, gets on the phone to the Russian premier, and it's like
yeah.
the whole tone of that conversation is like it's so banal.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
like he's sort of skirting around it. Dimitri, you know that thing? It's like he's
Yeah.
borrowed his car and crashed it, and he doesn't know how to tell him. It's something. It's so like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know the thing about the bomb. Well,
Mm,
we've had a bit of a snap. You're not going to believe this, but it's like he's embarrassed by the situation. It's like
mm,
he can't bring himself, he can't, like in a sort of more serious and probably not as good film, it would have been like the president would be like, okay, this is very serious. If it was Harrison Ford playing him or something in Air
yeah.
Force One, it'd be like, Dimitri, it's all very, there'd be gravitas, but there's
Mm,
no gravitas in this guy at all. There's no gravitas in the situation.
no, it's very
It's like it's
meek and
just
mild.
the situation doesn't need to be built up, does it? It doesn't need to be
No.
sort of, it doesn't, because we know how serious the situation is, so we can afford to
Well,
make the
that's it. And
characters just ridiculous.
this
These
is what I think.
authority figures ridiculous.
Yeah, the flexibility that a comedy would give you. You
Yes,
can play
again, what you were saying
around.
earlier. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you
right.
can play around to a greater extent. This being satire, this being a comedy, you can do more. But because if it was serious, you'd just be playing a very serious line,
Mm.
which then can almost get lost in the seriousness of it. So
It could work, but it's like, I mean, it can work. It can be done. Well, we were talking about failsafe, the sitting in
yeah,
that film. You can make it
kind
more
of
ridiculous. The more
make it
ridiculous it
more
is, the more
ridiculous
serious
it
it
is, the
is.
more serious it becomes, and that's the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
aspect
Ironic.
and
Well,
the back. Yeah,
that's
the
the film's whole strategy, isn't it? Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Just to show
Sublime,
how
sublime
benign and
through
stupid the
the sublime through the
situation.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh,
Um,
it's such a good film.
it is. It really is. So,
Um,
mm,
but the other obstacle, I guess, that
mm,
the characters keep bumping into, and this is another phone call situation, is bureaucracy. So it's like,
yes,
again, it's Lionel Mandrake trying to call the president and shooting the
yeah,
lock off the Coke machine I was talking earlier, and he's trying to all he wants to do is call the bloody president, and like there's this guy with a gun, and like, and it's like he's literally, it's so ridiculous. Like, okay,
mm.
so I have to. But it's the bureaucracy. I mean, to be
Well,
honest,
yeah, because
to
if you
be
think
fair
of the
to Colonel
reality of it,
Guano,
yeah,
to be fair to the guy with the gun, it's not really his fault because, like,
no,
he's trying to make this call and it's like a really important situation. And he's well, I mean, I guess fairly high
it was
ranking
a
military
colonel.
officer.
Yeah,
No, I mean Mandrake, Group
yeah,
Captain Lionel
hmm
Mandrake. He's
yeah,
like you think, and he's like executive officer to the general at this Air Force base. You think he'd be able to get through to the president should this need arise,
yes,
say, for example, in the event of his commanding officer taking his own life.
knife, yeah,
So he's trying to call the president. It shouldn't be that difficult, but it's like, okay,
yeah.
so damn, I'm still 25 cents short.
Right. Well,
What?
but if you think of the realism of that sort of situation
Well,
anyway, if you think,
yes.
nuclear war, the threat of nuclear annihilation, it
Yeah.
would actually be interesting to find out who would know what. So that
The
colonel that's
person on the
going
other end
in,
of that phone,
yeah, no,
the
the colonel
operator.
going in to try
Oh, the
and
colonel. Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah.
get the code off of the general, would he actually be told you've got to go in and get these codes or not, or just
Oh,
go
do you
in
mean
and
Colonel
stop?
Guano, who's with
Yeah,
the gun?
Colonel Guano going in. How much information would he actually have been
Oh, I don't
originally
think he's got
given?
any information at
No, and
all.
he
No.
plays that brilliantly.
The person on the other end of the phone, the
Mm,
operator,
yeah,
who we never hear, of course, but
yeah,
Mandrake's talking to on the phone, and that operator is going to be like, Yeah, you want to call the president, do you? All right,
Yeah,
mate,
yeah,
get in line.
yeah.
I mean, you need another 20 cents.
Mm,
Like all this kind of thing. It does, like you say, it is kind of it's kind of as absurd as it is. It's
yes,
kind of realistic. It is like what
yeah,
would probably happen in that situation. It's sort of
exactly.
there's all these forces, these more powerful motivating forces than self-preservation of an entire species.
Mm,
It's like no, but first we got to follow the proper procedure in making the phone call,
yeah.
and we've got to deal with the proper protocol of talking to another world.
Hmm.
Oh, for Christ's sake! And another world leader who's drunk.
Yeah,
Why can't we talk like grown-ups?
yeah. Or like,
They're acting like they're acting
this,
like children or idiots or
yeah.
both. Idiotic children. Uh, there's a lot of I guess this is kind of an ensemble cast. There isn't
Mm,
really a
yeah,
single protagonist or whatever. I mean Peter Sellers, of course, is the
yeah.
star of the film because
Very much so. Playing three characters.
playing
Would have
three
been
different
four,
characters.
but
Well,
only played
you
three.
say I've heard as many as like well, I mean, I heard that the film would only get funding
Mm,
from Columbia Pictures if Peter Sellers, because Peter Sellers was a big star at the time. I heard that they'd only give Kubrick the budget he wanted if
mm,
he cast Peter Sellers in at least four
mm.
roles.
Yes. And
So
originally it was going to be four. He was going to be playing the pilot in
as
the
the bomber as
airplane.
well, yeah,
But
yeah. He
what,
plays the president. He plays
yeah,
Group Captain Lionel Mandrake, the
Jake,
exec officer in the base, and he plays Dr. Strangelove,
thanks,
and
love.
he was
Yeah.
going to play Major Kong, yes.
Yeah.
Um,
But what
but
happened supposedly
yeah,
is it was a combination, two different reasons for this. But one, Sellers is like, no, this is actually too much. I'm working too hard, and he
yeah.
was having, serious medical conditions, so he sort of
He was a
bowed
bit
out.
frail, wasn't
That's
he? Yeah.
one of the stories. One of the other stories is actually when they were doing shooting, uh, he actually had an accident. He fell from
Sprained his
the
ankle, didn't he?
cockpit
Yeah.
and badly injured one of his legs, which is
I thought
another
it was. I
reason.
thought it was outside a restaurant. See, now this is interesting.
Exactly, there's all different stories,
Maybe it's
and
all bollocks.
and then it ties into the fact, oh, but that's why Strange Love is sat in a wheelchair, because Pete
Right, yeah,
Sellers
I
had
hadn't even
fucked his
thought of
foot
that. Yeah,
up, and yeah, so there's all these kind of interjection, different
and
stories,
stuff
and you're
about
not
like he.
sure who's actually
Yeah,
correct or who to believe. But
and all
anyway,
these people are dead now, most of them. So I mean, we can't
exactly.
ask him.
So
And
yeah,
also stuff about he had trouble nailing the Texas accent for
well,
Major Kong and all that stuff.
supposedly, yeah, he
Although
actually.
although everyone else said he did it perfectly,
Well, yeah, but this is Peter Sellers, and he wanted
because
it
Peter
perfect
Sellers
because
is
he was
brilliant at accents. Yeah,
he's
yeah,
an amazing character actor anyway.
But I think I mean, I think Stanley Kubrick wanted him to play like even
Well,
more roles, and he used to. I think Stanley Kubrick used to tell a joke that when he cast Peter Sellers, he got three performances for the price of six
yeah,
because
exactly.
because they paid him $1 million, which was
Mm,
like half the film's budget. So Peter Sellers plays three roles in the film, as we've said.
yep. Hmm.
He plays the President Merkin
Yep.
Muffley, who's kind of he's a sort of well-meaning, not buffoon, but kind
No.
of ineffectual. I think he was sort of like I think Peter Sellers modelled him on Adlai Stevenson, who
Mm,
ran for president twice in the
yes.
1950s but never won.
Yeah.
He's sort of a John Major figure, isn't he? He's like
Mm, yeah.
he's like an interim manager rather than a great
Hmm.
leader,
Which is why I think that phone call that he does
with
with
Dimitri.
Dimitri,
Dimitri,
it's very soft spoken and all the rest of it. It's almost like crisis management. It's
yeah,
he's playing that part of like, okay, I really can't cock up here. I'm gonna try and keep him nice and sweet,
yeah.
and I've got to do this, I've got to do that, and
To
yeah,
the point where I can't
yeah,
get to the point.
right.
Yeah, I can't sort of. Yeah, I'm trying to sort of like anything but to avoid talking about what we need to be talking about. Yeah,
And even when he's like, being like the tough guy in the room with all the other generals and
when
stuff,
he's
is
standing up
yeah,
to him. Yeah, when
when he's
he's sort
trying to
of defending
stand
his
up to him,
position.
it
Yeah,
still always seems quite meager. And
it's very meek. There is something
yeah,
meek about him, isn't he? There's sort of
mm,
he's kind of just like he's out of his depth. He's
hmm,
he's 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 not very statesman-like, but at the
hmm.
same time, it's like, well, I mean, we're not always lucky enough to have a statesman in charge when the crisis happens. It's almost
Exactly.
it's almost more believable in that sense.
Mm.
The second character Peter Sellers plays is
Yeah.
Group Captain Lionel Mandrake of the
Yeah.
RAF. This is an
Hmm.
RAF uniform,
Go
you
on.
impertinent brute.
Hmm.
Um, and he actually, yeah, he's the XO at the base.
Mm.
He's trying to wheedle the launch code, the recall codes
Codes.
out
Yeah,
of
exactly.
General Ripper,
Mm.
and he actually sort of his character actually gets an arc, which is
Mm.
unusual in this kind of comedy, like a
Yeah,
satire, because satires are usually about the idea or the big joke, aren't they? And character
exactly.
development doesn't really, it's not really part of their remit. But
Mm.
he actually sort of goes from quietly obsequious sideman
Yeah.
to decisive leader. He
Yeah.
sort of once oh sorry
Mm.
once Ripper blows his brains out of the bathroom,
Yeah.
he sort of becomes quite decisive and okay, let's get this sorted out. We need to, because he's been trying to sort of placate this madman, and then he
Mm.
goes to, okay, right, let's go, let's get this sorted out. But he's obstructed by another obstacle that we've talked about again,
Mm.
and he's frustrated by circumstances.
Yeah. I mean, it's also he's the only strong British character
Was
in
the only
the
British
entire.
guy.
It's the only British
He's the only
character
British
in
guy,
the
yeah.
film. Um, and it's I don't know about
the
you.
special the special relationship.
The special relationship.
So the other character
Yes,
uh,
is
Peter
of
Sellers
course
plays is
Strangelove.
Dr. Strangelove himself, the title
Yeah.
character.
Hmm.
He's a former Nazi scientist employed
Yeah.
and protected by the US government to
Hmm.
defend against the threat of communism. And of course, as
Quite a
absurd as the character
common,
appears,
very common normal trope
it was a
of
real
what was,
thing. A
yeah,
lot of
very real thing.
Nazi scientists were not
Hmm.
Nazi scientists were sort of pardoned by the US government and
Hmm.
set to work on the space program. I think Doctor Strangelove he's probably the most obviously over the top
Oh, of
comic
course,
character in the
of
movie.
course.
He's got lots of ticks and he's
Hmm.
designed to make us laugh. Peter Sellers goes full on with the improvisation and the kind of he's got the alien arm syndrome,
um,
which I think is a real thing. He's got
it
the
is a real
gimpy arm
thing,
that's kind of
but
with the glove and
yeah,
everything. And
that was so many retakes were done for that because yeah, so much of the cast and crew were just pissing themselves laughing with Sellers,
I
and
noticed, I
yeah,
don't know if you noticed,
mm,
about 90-minute mark, literally
mm,
5 minutes from the end of the film,
mm,
there's a shot of Peter Sellers as Doctor Strangelove in the foreground, and all the doing his shtick with the arm, like
um,
all
yeah,
that, look, all that,
yeah,
and all the guys all the other characters are standing behind him, and in the
yeah,
foreground, well, not in the foreground, but just behind him, and in front of all the other background characters, is the
yeah,
guy playing the Russian ambassador. I think
yeah,
the actor's
Peter
name is
Ball.
Peter Bull.
Peter
Peter
Ball,
Bull.
yeah, and he's like
And
the
he
smile on his
cracks,
face.
doesn't he?
He
Like he's
cracks it.
like
He's like, "Mm."
he's doing so well. But I like that Kubrick kept the take in. He
Yeah,
kept that
hmm,
take, used that take. I don't
exactly.
know. Well, I was going to say I don't know if that was deliberate. Of course it was. It's Stanley bloody Kubrick.
Mm,
But I feel like I wonder if it was like, well, that's the best take, and I'll take the hit on the other actor cracking, or if it was
probably,
like, or was it like, you know what? I actually like that he cracked. I'm going to keep it in
yeah.
because it's sort of it was like a nod to the audience, like I know this is ridiculous, isn't it? Brigadier General Jack D.
Mm,
Ripper,
yes.
played by Sterling Hayden,
Hmm.
not Peter Sellers, but Sterling
Yeah.
Hayden. He's
And all
I
his
guess
bodily fluids.
all his bodily fluids. I guess he's the primary antagonist of
Yeah.
the movie. In plot
Hmm.
terms, he's deeply paranoid and he's got his finger on the nuclear button. So, would you mind putting
Mm,
your tongue in neutral for a while? What
yeah.
movie's that from? He's obsessed with communist infiltration through
Yeah.
bodily fluids. I mean, Sterling
Mm.
Hayden, he plays the character, even though it's a comedy, he plays the character totally straight,
Totally straight, and it's
and he is
fabulous that he plays it
terrifying.
straight.
He is
Yeah.
very scary. He's like,
He's a great
because
actor anyway.
it's a
Absolutely,
great
his
performance.
performance is, yeah.
Yeah, he's great. He sort of, because he's got a lot of weight to carry in terms of narrative, because he represents the sort of serious threat
Mm.
beneath that sort of satirical sheen of the story. He's
And
like, yeah,
I think by playing the character as straight as he did, gave it proper meaning as well. Gave
yeah,
it, Yeah, because if the characters had come across more jokingly or comically like some of the other characters, I don't
Obviously
think it would have
funny.
stood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't have stood up.
It
So
wouldn't, yeah, the plot
you
wouldn't, it
needed
wouldn't
the
sort of hang
threat to
together so well.
be serious for the rest of it to be comical.
Yeah, yeah. So, like Lionel Mandrake, he also gets a bit of an arc because like
Mm,
he starts off just he's blinded by this paranoia. He's just got this stupid idea that he's not even thinking about anything else. His tunnel vision about his bodily fluids and all that rubbish. And then when the attack on the base happens and his men on his base defending his
mm,
base, they all die basically. I mean, I don't know if they
yeah.
all die, but
No, no,
whatever
they
the
give
truth is.
up. They,
Yeah, right.
yeah,
Yeah, but
and
some of them
that's when
probably get
he
shot.
stops fighting because he
Yeah.
feels betrayed by his men. That you know, uh,
Oh, by the people attacking him.
exactly.
By the yeah.
So at
Yeah,
that
well,
point,
yeah.
that's when he gives up because his men have given up. And he feels betrayed, and
Oh,
he
okay.
can't fight anymore because he's in some ways not lost the moral high ground, but he's kind of lost
Practical.
practical high ground.
Yeah, he can't
Yeah.
defend. Yeah, he knows when to quit. That's interesting because I actually read it, and perhaps I wasn't paying close
Mm.
enough attention, but I actually read it more like it was the fact that some of his men had died that
Yeah,
turned it. But actually,
but
that
if you think
actually
about it,
changes things
then
quite a bit.
why would have you been so staunch to begin with? Because he knew that American troops would
That
be
was the
shooting and
that
killing
was the
other
risk. Yeah,
American
yeah,
troops.
yeah, yeah. True.
But then he's looking at it as the greatest sacrifice to stop communism invading the world
As he sees it, yeah.
as he sees it.
It's
So
all kind of
it's a small price to pay.
In any case,
Hmm.
for whatever reason, he can't. He either can't admit the error of his ways, or
Hmm.
he does admit the error of his ways. But for whatever reason, he locks himself in the bathroom and blows his brains out.
Yeah, certainly.
And it's quite a shocking moment in the film. I mean,
Hmm.
but because I think because again because out what's his name Mandrake is outside still thinking that's right,
Yeah,
Jack, you have a bit of a wash and brush up, and when you come out
and
we'll have
then
the old recall code out of you, and we'll sort all this out. And there's like,
yeah, bang.
oh, the next character I think to
Hmm.
talk about is General Buck Turgidson,
Yep. Hmm.
played by George C. Scott. He's
Hmm.
part of he's on he's the sort of he represents, I guess, the he's in the war room with the president and the Russian ambassador. He's one picking fights with the Russian
Hmm.
ambassador. He's an interesting case. He's as much politician as military man.
Hmm.
He's good at making horrible things sound reasonable, isn't he? Like, when he's
Yeah,
talking about how many mega deaths are going to occur as a result of their actions, it's sort of
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying we won't get our hair mussed.
Right.
It's like, we're going to lose 10, 20 million taps, depending on
Yeah.
how the breaks. And he's like, to him, it's all numbers, it's all
Yes.
like, it's all kind of, but it's almost like, I feel like because he's all bluster and no substance, he's just that kind of
Mm.
I get what I was saying earlier about, I think he's probably maybe not even seen combat. He's probably like just kind of almost like a bureaucrat.
Mm.
I feel like he's callous rather than calculating like
Mm.
Strangelove or insane like Ripper. He's a different sort of thing.
He does seem like such a flawed character, which is what you need. You need a very flawed character to justify the argument over mass extinction of humanity. So,
Well, yeah. And
but
again, that exquisite performance where it's like it's sometimes
he
it's a
does
little
it
bit kind of
really
like
well.
some there's comedy stuff
Mm.
in there. There's comedy beats, there's comedy gestures in his performance, but it's never over the top. It's just right, isn't it?
Right. He's quite a powerful actor anyway,
George
George
C.
C.
Scott.
Scott.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was an
And quite
Oscar winner, and
yeah, and quite
although
a
they
fiery,
refused to accept it, but
yeah. But
later
he's
on.
like a very fiery character in himself, and a quite a bit of interesting trivia as well was
About George C.
Kubrick
Scott.
wasn't, yeah,
Yeah.
Kubrick wasn't sure about how well he was going to be able to control this kind of like force of a person um, on set. So, but he found out that George Scott was seriously into chess.
I
So
know where
when,
you're going with this.
yeah,
As a
so
Kubrick fan, I know where you're going with
yeah,
this.
so when he came on set and he thought, okay, I've got to put the reins on this actor. I've got to be able to control this actor and get him to do what I want him to do. He basically sort of challenged him to get to a game of chess at the start of shooting, and of course, like George was like, "Yeah, I'm up for this. Yeah, I love chess. Let's do this." Being the strong blustery guy that he is, and maybe not knowing how good a chess player that Kubrick was.
Kubrick was a chess hustler.
Yes,
Kubrick
very
was
much
Paul Newman
so.
in The Hustler. He
Yeah,
was like the chess. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So he used chess to basically,
He used to play. He used to like. I think actually used to hustle chess in Central Park or something. The chess
yeah,
game, the something like that.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He was. Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, he got basically, yeah, George C. Scott to pull into line and get him to do what he wanted to do just by sort of like beating him hand over fist, game after game with chess, which I think is brilliant.
So if I win this game, you've got to do what I say in the next scene.
Yeah, exactly.
If you win this game, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, all that, yeah, yeah. Again, though, I think he's a character. He also has a bit of an arc. I mean, he sort of
Mm,
like again, this he's full of
not much,
he's full of
but
not much, a little, just a little bit because he's full of shit all the
yes.
way through the film, and then at the end, right towards the end, he's doing this big speech about the president wants to know. Look, there's this one rogue B-52 bomber, the one we've been
Mm,
following all along with Major Kong,
yeah.
etc. Can we take them down? Can they be brought down? How do we do
Mm,
it? And Turgison's like, you see that these B-52 bombers we've got now, they're fantastic. You should see it. There's
mm.
all this shit, they're like, they're amazing. And he's like rhapsodizing about how great these planes are.
So
And the president's like,
yeah,
yes,
but
but can we take them down?
down,
And he's like, oh, well,
and the
like after all this, after
realization.
an hour and a half of bullshit, he finally reads the room and goes like,
Oh, fuck.
almost a Frank Spencer gesture, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost like he goes, "Oh yeah, we can. Oh yeah, we can. Yeah, I suppose we can't actually take the planes
No,
down.
because these guys
Oh
are too
dear,
good. We've trained them
oh
too
dear,
well. Yeah.
we're all fucked." Major T.J. King Kong,
Yes.
played by Slim Pickens, and I know
What a
Slim
name.
Pickens.
What a
I
name,
know
Slim
it sounds
Pickens.
like a made-up character name for the movie, but it was actually,
Is
well, it wasn't his real name, but it was the
mm,
actor's stage name, wasn't it? Now, I mean, he, as far as I understand, I'm sure you know
mm,
this already, but Slim Pickens and all the other actors in the crew in the bomber crew, including
mm.
Shane Rimmer and James Earl Jones in
Jones.
an early
Yeah.
role,
Hmm.
they, as far as I know, Kubrick didn't tell them that this was going to be a satire because he
Exactly.
wanted their reactions to be, I
Yep.
guess, emotionally real or whatever.
Hmm.
He sort of suggested that it was going to be a serious drama.
Yeah.
That is a really interesting directorial choice, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And it
And
really
I
works because again, it
think
fits
it's
in with what we were saying
fabulous. Yeah,
earlier
it really
about the
does.
verite style in which it's shot as well. Those
Mm.
sequences are shot, you
I
know.
mean, it's
Yeah.
interesting because I think it's shot from a perspective it knowing it's going to be a comedy, but it's acted as if it isn't.
Which I think is the trick to a lot of great comedies to not
Yeah,
is to play it as if it's real,
yeah,
basically. To try is to play,
exactly.
don't play it for laughs, play it straight,
Yeah.
and then it's funnier.
But when you're watching it, you don't realize that the actors have not been told that it's a comedy. But
It's
from
not
the way it's
obvious.
shot, though, it does have its comedy aspects. There's a little, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but there's a tiny bit of scene where the pilot's going down to the Bombay doors because they can't open the Bombay doors to drop the
Oh,
bomb.
well, Major Kong, yeah, yeah.
And maybe
And then
Kong
he
comes
rides
down and he
the
goes, I'm going to go down and figure out myself.
yeah.
And just towards the end, the speed of the film just gets sped up ever so slightly. And you see him
Well,
sort
when
of
he's
race
riding the
through.
thing and he goes down the
No, no, no. Before that, when
no,
he's
oh, before
working
that.
his way through, he's goes down the ladder,
Okay,
talks to the other crew before going down to the Bombay doors. And as he's
okay.
going through, the film just gets ever so slightly sped up
I didn't
to
notice
a
that.
slight comical level. The
Oh,
dialogue
like an old
stays
fashioned, like an old
exactly.
silent,
Yeah,
like a Charlie Chaplin movie or
exactly. So
something. Yeah,
it's
that's what you mean. Yeah, yeah. Major Kong ends up, his fate is to ride the
riding the
bomb down to
bomb
the ground.
and
He literally
screaming and yelling like a
yeehaw,
ah
throwing his hat around, and it's just like it's a fantastic piece of cinema. I mean, it's
mm,
just like a fantastic piece of comedy cinema, but it's also like It's funny and it's also like, what? Like, really?
Really?
Oh my God.
The hard aspects of comedy is right. I'm pushing this. How far can I push the next bit? How far can I push the next bit? How
Yeah.
far can I push the next bit? And that's the key to great comedy writing is
And
know what the
judging when to
limit is,
stop
but
is
exactly.
yeah. I mean, it's great as Slim Pickens is in the role, but I mean,
Mm,
Major Kong was the fourth role that Peter Sellers was originally intended to play, I think.
that's it. Yeah.
And it's interesting to me that of the three characters that Peter Sellers did play in the finished film,
Mm,
two of them are kind of ineffectual voices of reason,
yeah.
Mandrake and the
Hmm.
President Muffley, President Merkin Muffley.
Yeah.
Uh, whereas the third character, Dr. Strangelove, actively wants the war to happen.
Yeah.
Now, if Sellers had played Major Kong as well, I
Hmm.
wonder how he would have played it. Would he have
Well,
been
yeah,
another
because you would
character
have
who
had
wanted the war to happen? Would he? Yeah.
so yeah,
I wonder though if
quite an
that's how he would
interesting
have played it. If he
dichotomy.
would have played
But
it as
but
more, even more
also,
kind of,
yeah,
even more gung ho than literally riding the
probably
bomb down
because
to its
sellers would
target.
know it's a comedy, whereas
Of
some
course,
of
yeah, yeah.
the other actors wouldn't. So I,
Colonel Bat Guano,
oh,
because he's crazy,
he
played
is,
by Keenan Wynn.
yeah,
He's the the stultifying army officer who
hmm
finds Mandrake after General Ripper has killed himself in the bathroom.
hmm
I mean, plot wise, he's really just another obstacle, isn't he?
yeah,
Getting between,
is another
obstructing
bureaucratic,
the plot from happening.
yeah, bureaucratic
Bureaucratic, yeah, just like
cog
you want me to
cog
destroy
going the
that's
wrong
private
way,
property. I'm not destroying
yeah,
private property. But he's an interesting character because he's dumb and he's suspicious,
yes.
which is a really sort of interesting and annoying combination. Because
It's
he's like,
playing that stupid bureaucracy really really well.
well,
Um,
he's the unthinking grunt that the military
mm,
industrial complex wants its soldiers to be, isn't it? He's kind
yeah,
of like just you don't want him thinking too much out in the field. You want him just like following orders and that's it. And
mm,
even if that means stopping a really important phone call getting through to the
yeah,
president that could end the war altogether, like
yeah,
because yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? That if we end the war, then the
mm,
military's out of business.
yeah.
So the ending.
Mm. Spoiler
Yes,
card
because
again.
obviously we're going to spoil the ending now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Guess
at the
what?
end of the film, hey,
Guess what happens?
yeah, guess what happened? Well, I
Yeah.
mean, do you know,
Does
I
the world
just
end?
now what happens is,
Mm,
uh, the doomsday thing is set off. The nuclear bombs, they all go off. All
hmm
life on Earth ends.
mm,
It is the doomsday scenario.
yeah.
The film, they go through with it, right?
Hmm.
And as the bombs are going off, over a montage of the
Mm.
bombs going off, it's playing "We'll Meet Again" by
Berlin.
Vera Lynn, Dagenham's
Hmm.
finest.
Yeah.
Was it Dagenham? I think she's from Dagenham.
Yeah. I think so.
Um, it's one of the greatest endings in the history of cinema. I don't think it's too
Mm.
much to say.
Yeah.
Um, so, Alan, I want to ask you,
Mm.
during that ending, how does that make you feel?
Always really quite sad. Um, but it's kind of weird mix of emotions. I mean, because obviously watched the film again this week for this review. Um,
Today, I believe,
yeah, I did
a few hours
watch
ago,
it today, a
just
few
before
hours
we
ago.
started recording.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
he's been busy.
again,
He's been
just
busy.
yeah.
Listeners, it's fine.
Um, but yeah, I must admit, because I've watched so many war films, like I've mentioned before, with my dad,
Mm.
and I'm a bit of a history buff. I do love my history, um, and in some ways, I know how much that song meant to people who actually served.
It's a very, very meaningful song for us.
Mm,
Well, I mean, for
for
a
a certain
generation. It's
generation, for
actually
a
mostly
generation
gone now,
that went
really.
through war
Yeah,
and had people that lost. And the problem
yeah,
with war, it has a mass. It disrupts so many people's lives.
yeah.
People have to move. People die. Obviously,
Mm.
it's war.
Loved ones died. The loved
Loved
ones go
ones
off to
die.
fight the
People
war and
get
don't come back.
separated.
Yeah.
Families get separated. And it takes quite a long time for life to get back to normal post-war.
And this song
And
is
this is
like an
what the song
emblem
is
for all
about.
that. Yeah,
It's
it's exactly
basically
what it's all
keep your
about.
chin up. Things
Yeah.
will get back. Things will get better one day. We will meet
Mm.
again. Don't know where, don't know when,
Yeah.
some sunny day. I don't know the connotations of that song and how
Mm.
powerful meaning, and I'm really glad it got used for the end
Well,
because,
that's the thing because it's subverted, isn't it? Because the ending is it's weird. The way it's edited and put together is quite abrupt, and
mm,
it almost seems to it makes sort of general narrative sense, but the way that it's edited in the sort of close quarters sense from scene from shot to shot, it
yeah,
almost seems kind of like a punchline or like it's coming out of nowhere. Even though we've already seen Major Kong going down, waving his hat, we are
yeah,
going down, hitting the target. But then it cuts back to the war room for a little while, and Doctor Strangelove finishes his whole spiel about the underground, the bunkers, and all that shit.
yeah,
And then he gets out of his wheelchair and says, "Mein Führer, I can walk."
mm,
And then hard cut to the bombs going off, and we'll meet again. And it's
yeah,
like
because that's the doomsday device going off,
that's the doomsday
basically.
device going off, which takes a few
Yeah.
minutes or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, I understand it like narratively, but it's
Mm,
like in terms of like just visual language, it's kind of quite weird and abrupt. And I've always kind of felt like, okay, so that's the big joke at the end.
mm.
The final punchline is we all, is we all die,
We
right?
screwed up.
Yeah, we that's it. Uh, Judgment Day, whatever you want to call it,
Mm,
Armageddon, etc., Annihilation. Uh, but I think partly as a function of age, and the fact that the older you get, the closer you get to your own
mm,
mortality, or the idea of it. Uh, it does sort of hit differently. I think how you react to that scene,
mm,
or to that ending, probably does depend to a certain extent on how old you are and on your life experience. And I think if you take the sort of, I mean, I feel like at least on an intellectual level, I feel like the sensible response is to just it is bitter laughter.
mm.
But I
Oh
think
yeah.
really, but I
Mm.
think if you do take that path, then I think you got to admit that you're just protecting yourself. Uh, do you want to say something about the pie fight?
Oh yes, yeah. So if people are not aware, there was the end scene. There was an alternate ending, which got filmed but was never
Oh, it
released,
was
and
filmed. I wondered
it
about
was
that.
filmed.
I
Yeah,
thought
it
it was
was
just
filmed.
scripted, but yeah. Okay.
No, because I've seen loads of stills for it. So yeah, it was completely silver. So basically, there was a custard pie fight at the
In the
end
war
of
room.
the in the war room
Yeah.
with everybody going in, which they tied into the fact that, oh, wouldn't it be funny that the kind of the missiles are firing over, the pies are being flown over. That was the
Do you reckon they would
connotation
have
of
intercut the bombs going off with the
possibly,
pies
yeah.
in
I
the
don't know with
face?
the
Oh, that
pies
would have
and
been.
yeah.
Well,
So
that might have been
you can
interesting.
understand the
But
comedy aspect and the comedy value to it, but then they came to the realization that in some ways it had a stronger message without the pie fight at the end of having the
yeah,
end of the world and, oh, we all fucked up and these people have just let the world end, rather than
they've
this
sort of
overly
trivialized it enough over the
yeah,
preceding
exactly.
90 minutes, haven't they?
So,
To
and
it's just too
also
much. Yeah.
for really bits of interesting trivia is that there's a scene where the president gets a pie in the face, and then Scott shouts out, "The president's been cut down in his prime," which they obviously need to cut with the fact that it was being released at the
Kennedy
time when
assassination, of
Kennedy
course.
was
Yeah. Well, yeah.
actually cut
Well, again,
down in his prime.
did we say that the line got changed? I don't think we said that. The line of
Yes,
dialogue got
also,
changed in the
yes,
movie, overdubbed with
yeah,
where I don't think we've mentioned this before.
Slim,
Slim
yeah,
Pickens, yeah,
Slim
Major Kong in the
Pickens is
plane.
going through
He's going through the survival pack that they
the
have in case
survival
they
pack,
crash
yeah.
land in enemy territory, and it's like,
Mhm.
a miniature Bible. It's like $100 cash, 100 rubles cash, 100 this and that. One prophylactic,
That's okay.
and he
Yeah.
says all this stuff, and then he says, "Hell, a fella could have a good time in Vegas with all this, or something
Mm,
like that." And then, but the original line is a good
mm,
time in Dallas because he's a Texan.
yeah.
And if you look closely and listen
Hmm.
closely, if you look at his lips, he says Dallas. Slim
Yeah.
Pickens says Dallas in the take, but they overdubbed the line because of the Kennedy assassination. And actually, you
Yeah.
can hear. I mean, if you're listening out for it because we're telling you about it,
Mm,
you know, and you know about it already, you can sort of hear the change in sound quality
yeah.
between the. You can tell it's an overdubbed line, can't you? So it's, but
And yeah,
yeah,
but with going back to the pie fight, they
yeah,
definitely realised that it wasn't going to work. It was too ridiculous and sublime for it to
a step too far,
a
a comedy
step too
step too
far.
far,
And actually,
yeah, a
the
clown
very
shoe
end
too far.
scene would have been the president and the Russian ambassador sitting on the floor, caked in cream and all the rest of it, doing pat a cake bakers, man. Was going to be
I
the
mean,
end.
I got to say, part of me wants to see that. Part of me
I
wants to see
know
the patty cake cut.
exactly. Mm,
I feel like Dr. Strangelove was Kubrick's seventh feature film,
mm,
and he only made 13 in total. I feel like Dr. Strangelove is the first, might be the first kind of, because we said earlier on, like his first few films, they're kind of small independent films made in conjunction with his producing partner James B. Harris, and they were like, I feel like they were him kind of finding his feet and finding his style, but
mm,
they were kind of
yeah.
generic in a lot of ways. Not to say they weren't good, but they were
Mm,
interesting all the way up to The Killing and that. But then you got like he does the two films with Kirk Douglas. He does Paths of Glory and
hmm
Spartacus. Both
Just,
starred Kirk
hmm
Douglas, and he produced them as well to his production company. So he was kind of the boss. So
mm,
then Lita, I guess, is almost his first independent movie after that, and then Doctor Strange.
mm,
I feel like Doctor Strangelove is like the first. It might be the first Kubrick movie that goes full Kubrick,
yes.
at least in
Hmm.
terms of how we tend to think of what a Kubrick film looks like or is like. It
Yeah.
feels like this is the first one, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Do you agree with that? Or
Um,
maybe it's Lolita. I don't know. I haven't seen Lolita in
I
a
would
while, I have to admit.
actually, I would probably say Lolita actually, because of the way that he wanted to shoot it over in the UK. He didn't want the interruption from the movie studios as
Studio
much.
interference,
He
yeah.
didn't want the studio interference because he knew it
Very
was,
much a comedy as well, like this. It's very much dark
yeah,
comedy, you
again,
know.
and he knew he'd get away with doing it in the UK more than he would be able to in the States. Yeah, I think Lolita's more um, Kubrick stepping out, being more confident to step out and being more of a
Who he is.
director. And I think this was just again strengthening what he kind of already knew and him being as bold as he wanted to be.
Because
Um,
it's always a journey with every artist, isn't it? You
yeah.
develop and you come to a certain point where, I mean, I suppose I wouldn't say Kubrick ever really stagnated, but I feel like he kept trying to develop or kept trying to improve on what he'd done before,
Mm,
even if he maybe got set in his ways in terms of how he made his films. I feel like all of his films are interesting. So, in conclusion, ladies and
mm,
gentlemen, Doctor
yes.
Strangelove or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Hmm.
Uh, I feel like I feel to me, I feel
Mm,
like what the film is trying to say is that the only sane response to an insane world is laughter,
hmm.
because the despair will kill you.
Yeah.
And because like a lot of great comedy,
Mm,
it's about a deadly serious subject.
yeah.
It's just dealing with it in a from an oblique angle,
Yeah.
from a side with a sidelong glance,
Mm,
from an askew point of view, if you will. Um, I think it's I think it's a brilliant film. I think it's fiercely
mm.
intelligent and supremely entertaining, if that's the right word. I'm not sure if it is,
Yeah. I,
but in any case, whatever you want to call it, I feel like we need movies like this more than ever.
yes, definitely.
Even though I suspect that too many people would be too fucking stupid to get the joke anyway.
Hmm.
I really hope I'm wrong about that.
stands the test of time. It's over 60 years old, this film,
And it's
and we're still
absolutely, it's
talking
still
about it, and we
relevant.
know.
Oh God,
And
yeah,
for its time, can you
yeah.
imagine what it was like at the time? How radical and how
No, I
fresh
can't.
this would have been.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're still talking about it now.
It still has the power to shock, I think,
Well, that's it.
to have the impact that it's intended to have. I think it still does. I think it probably. I think
Yeah.
a modern audience would still watch it and go, especially the ending. I mean, they would just go,
Yes.
"That's the end."
Yeah.
So did they don't they didn't save, they didn't avert what?
Nope. Yeah.
I mean, just that alone is powerful enough. But I mean, the whole film is just
Mm.
they made a joke about that. That's in really poor taste, and I love it.
Mm. Exactly. And I think that's why everybody does still love it. And yeah, if you haven't had the opportunity to watch this, sorry if we spoiled the rub.
Yes,
But
we have
I
spoiled the
still
living poo poo
think
out of it.
you will massively enjoy this film because everybody who watches
Well,
it does. I don't think I've ever come across anyone who's not been moved by it or,
yeah.
yeah, found it funny, even though it's so dark.
I think actually, even if we have spoiled it, I think even if you know how it's going to end, I think it would still be effective.
Yeah, or if you haven't watched it for quite some time, go and watch it again because you know
Oh,
you're going to
definitely.
love
Oh,
it. You're
without
going to
question,
enjoy
without
it.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah.
Well,
Mm,
ladies and gentlemen, and all
yeah.
points in between and neither. Thank
Hmm.
you. I've run out of rum, which
Okay.
is my
I haven't.
customary.
I've still got a little bit left. So,
Can I have some of yours?
yeah, here you go.
Pour some of it in.
Here you go. Pour some
Yeah.
in.
Oh, yeah. Other way.
No, I'm not going to do that over my keyboard.
Oh, wait a minute. You're not. You're about 100 miles away. Mm. Thank you for watching,
Yeah.
everybody. I hope you've enjoyed our inane
Yeah.
buff guff.
Um.
So inane buff guff sounds like a character in
Mm,
Doctor Strangelove, doesn't it? Colonel Inane Buff Guff
rough guff.
of old London town. Don't forget to subscribe and sub like if
Indeed. And
that's
please leave a comment. We do enjoy reading them.
yes, leave a comment.
Yeah.
We might even read it.
Yeah.
We absolutely will read it because I've
No,
read
no,
all
we
of our
will.
comments and I think
Yeah.
I've replied to all of them.
Hmm.
We've had about 6. More would be lovely, but
Yeah.
I don't want to beg.
No.
And
Um.
we will see you. Actually, you'll see us on
You'll
the
see.
next
Yeah.
episode.
It-
Thank you for watching.
yeah. And
Namaste and
always.
all that. And
Thank you
we love
and
you.
good night. Yeah.
Thank you and good night.
Bye bye.